this working? Yeah, there we go. Good morning, lovely wellness community. Sorry, I'm running a little late today. I've had some technical issues, which is always fun on a Monday. I hope you've had an amazing weekend and, you know, a good week prior to this. Let's get into this week with some beautiful insight to self, and to connect with the self and learn to understand what your body's telling you, getting some insight to empower you to improve and just be better and just be the amazing, awesome person that you are. So we have been going through the chakras, and I believe we are up to the throat chakra, which I love, and I'm feeling a little bit rusty today, funnily enough. So just take a moment to tune in with yourself. Take some breaths and bring your attention to your throat, the energy center, the energy around your throat. Are you feeling a bit rusty? Does it feel like, you know, I don't speak much because I'm at home by myself. So sometimes it feels like when I go to speak, it's like, you know, you've got to kind of clear the pipes. So how is it feeling in there? Does it feel tight? Or does it feel expanded? You know, do you see light? Is it coming from there? Or does it feel dark? Just sort of tune into how it's feeling. Is it easy to swallow? Is it sore? Is it feeling amazing? Could you sing the opera? Just take some time to tune into that section of your, you know, your body as to what it's doing. What does it feel like? What is it telling you? You might just get a message saying you need to speak up, or our ears are also connected to our throat energy center. So you can tune into, hi Kerry. So go into your ears as well. Do they feel good? Are they ringing, or do they feel like you could hear a pin drop? So all this kind of area, even your shoulders, like, you know, your shoulders bunching up around your throat, is it sort of protecting your throat area? Or are you feeling good? So you might even want to take some time to roll your shoulders, roll your neck, just kind of give it some energy. Just remove any stagnant energy that your throat chakra or along here might be holding on to. So this is your center of communication. Yes. And communication is obviously verbal, but it's non-verbal. But it's also, as I mentioned before, it's what you're hearing. And understand that we all have a different, you know, we all see and we all live our lives through our own filters. And so we need to be mindful that what we're hearing is actually what is being said. And one of the best ways to find out is to ask the questions. Use your voice and find out. Did you mean XYZ when you spoke about that? And they'll either say yes or no. So today I kind of wanted to touch on language because it fascinates me. And again, I could talk for ages on language. But I'm going to just briefly go through a few words. And again, this is really important about being mindful when you speak. What is the purpose of, you know, you speaking? What are you trying to convey to the world? Or what are you trying to get somebody else to do or follow, or, you know, that sort of thing. Communicating and connecting with people is really, really important. And it is about speaking your truth. A lot of people can feel when you're not really speaking your truth, or you're not walking your walk and talking your talk. So it's all about integrity. and, you know, speaking and listening with the purpose to understand and connect somebody else, and making sure that you are being understood and connecting with someone else. So there are a few little words or phrases that I just want to put out there to replace. So quite often, if someone's going through a situation that you may have gone through something similar, we quite often go, you know, I understand where you're coming from, or I understand what you're going through. Now, again, realizing that we're all experiencing, living, seeing our world, our own reality through our different filters. Yeah. So when I was studying at NLP, one of the things that they were saying, that try to avoid using that word, I understand. I understand what you're going through. I understand what you're saying. And replace it with, I respect. I respect what you're saying here. Or I appreciate what you're going through. You can even use things like, I acknowledge what's happening for you, or I agree with what you're saying. Because when we use the word understanding, it is subjective, like I said. We may have gone through something that we think is similar, but again, we have no idea what this other person's filters are. And so we may not understand. And also gives that other person extra validation when you say, I respect what you're going through, or I appreciate or I acknowledge what's happening for you right here. We may think that we've experienced the same thing. I'm just reading my notes here so I don't go over time. So remembering that our filters are built on how we were brought up, our parents' beliefs, our friends' beliefs, societal, you know, propaganda, our own experiences, all this sort of stuff. So it's quite possible that while we may be able to appreciate what someone is going through, we may not understand fully what they are going through. I hope that makes sense. So replacing the word with understand with I respect, I appreciate, I agree, I acknowledge, something like that, so that you can build a rapport, you can build a connection with that person and validate them on a deeper level. Another one that's really good to replace, and I suppose a lot of people have heard this one, is the word but. Usually when we use the word but, it can kind of negate what we've just said. So we can replace but with and, because you're acknowledging what's being said or acknowledging the other person, and then also adding something to it. So you're kind of adding some insight rather than negating what you've just said, if that makes sense. So for example, it could be like, you know, someone saying, oh, it's a terrible day outside and it's so windy and cold. So instead you can say, you know, I respect what you're saying here, or I respect your opinion on that. And at least it's not snowing and sleeting, at least we can go outside. So, you know, you're not negating that person's opinion or their outlook or perception on what they're viewing as their reality, but you're acknowledging that, yes, what you're saying is valid, and we can still go outside, da, 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 da. So you're kind of adding some value, if that's what you want to sort of say. So yes, when we say but, it can imply a dilemma or that you don't improve. And when we replace it with the and, it kind of gives the idea that we've got a choice. So yes, you're validated, you've got a choice to think that, and I have a choice over here to think that. Another couple to replace is, and this is very important with children. And when I was learning the NLP, I was practicing on my kids, and it makes such a difference, is the word don't. For any of you out there that have children or young children, or have ever been around small children and you say don't throw that or don't do something, I'm sure you've experienced that they will look you dead in the eye and do it anyway. And inside you, oh my God, that little shit. However, with the word don't, and this can be used on children, of course, always, and on everyone, really, adults as well. So we're wanting to change that suggestion around and bring forward the action that you do want them to do rather than what you don't want them to do. So when you say don't, it puts the focus on the desired action and ups your chances for a positive outcome. So instead of saying don't throw that, you can say something instead. I love it when you hold it with two hands and put it down on the ground, like a baby or something like that. So what you're feeding, the information that you're feeding is a positive thing. It's not that negative thing. Quite often we don't listen to the whole sentence, or we don't hear the whole sentence. So when we say, sorry, I'm just looking at my notes. We often don't listen to what is being said. We only hear the intent. So if you say don't throw that, sometimes at the very beginning of the sentence, we don't hear. We're not switched on to hear that. So when we hear it, we go, throw the ball. This is called feature deletion. So this is how our brain processes the sentences that we hear. So we don't always hear that whole sentence. So we have to be mindful of putting out there what we want them to do rather than what we don't want them to do. Another example is when you say to someone, don't forget to pick up the milk on the way home, or don't forget to do that, don't forget to do that. Again, we may not hear that don't gets dropped off. So our unconscious hears forget to pick up the laundry. So you change that don't to remember. Can you remember to pick up the milk on the way home? And just these really subtle differences in how you communicate to people makes a huge, huge, huge difference. It does take time and practice though. Like it took me, I obviously, because I'm human, obviously I still stuff up and go, don't do that, or rah, rah, rah. But it does really make me think when I'm having conversations with, especially with my kids or with someone that I want something to really be heard and to be heard in a positive way. I do stop and think, okay, this is what I want to say. All right, they're not going to hear the don't. So how can I reframe it so that they're going to get the information that I want them to do so that they can succeed? Hope that makes a little bit of sense or a lot of sense. So yes, so true with children. So true. Oh, I remember once when I used to do ballet, my ballet teacher, she stood at the front, and once there must have been someone that did the step wrong or whatever it was. And she said, don't do it like this, blah, 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 blah. She showed us, you have to do it like this, and showed us the correct way. Now, there was about 8 of us in the class. And of course, we all stood there and went, ooh, we did it the wrong way, made up a huge joke about it and fluffed around and everything. And she just cracked it and said, I'm done. The class is finished. And it's so funny because that has stuck with me, because so often you know, there are those little times where things like that happen. You may remember something of yourself, whether it's yourself or your kids or someone else that you said, don't do such and such. And of course, they've done it. So take some time, practice this week to be mindful of how you are communicating. Language is it's amazing, and you know, we want to use it in a way for people to be able to connect with us and also us to connect with them. Be mindful of your inner chatter, and again, these sentences, these words that can be replaced, you need to, you know, give them to yourself as well. Your unconscious mind can't differentiate between what is real and what's not. It doesn't get humor. It doesn't get sarcasm. So, you know, if you bang into the door and you go, oh, you're such an idiot, your unconscious is going to go, oh, I'm an idiot. Okay. So if you say that 10 times a day, there's a belief system that's going to start, you know, there's a neural pathway in there that's going to go, you're an idiot, you're an idiot, you're an idiot. So again, all this inner chatter, outer chatter, it takes practice, and it's being mindful. It's being aware of the self, connected to the self. And when you hear yourself call yourself an idiot or whatever it is, just stop and go, I'm not an idiot. And then replace it with 3 good things. So you can replace it with, you know, I don't know, like, I'm amazing. I'm a human being and I do make mistakes. You can replace it with, I'm in a hurry and I've just slipped up. Or, you know, I'm doing my very best right now to do what I need to do. So when you catch yourself talking badly to yourself, pull yourself up and give yourself 3 praises. Yeah. Again, it can be really hard because it can just be automatic. So we need to be aware when we're talking to ourselves, when we're talking to our friends, our family. We need to start talking to ourselves like we would a person that we admire, our mentor, you know, someone that we love so much. You wouldn't call your mentor a stupid idiot or anything like that, would you? So start treating yourself with the kindness, with love. And you'll just start to notice some changes in yourself. You'll be more compassionate towards yourself, more loving towards yourself. And when you start doing that, a whole, you know, there's a domino effect that can be created through that whole thing. What else have I got? Your throat chakra, yes, it's about speaking your truth. It's about living your truth. It's about truth in your job. Do you love it? Are you being honest in your work? Are you being true to yourself? Are you saying yes to things when you sit there and go, oh my God, I'm so tired though, I wish I hadn't have said yes? Or are you saying no to things when you go, oh, I really need to push myself, or I need to broaden my horizons? And again, this comes down to figuring out what you want to do, where you want to go, what sort of person that you want to be. And again, I go back to that ultimate feeling goal. If you don't have little things, how do you want to feel? Is saying yes going to make you feel empowered, or it's going to make you feel happy, blissful? Is saying no going to do those things? Is going to help you grow into this, you know, this amazing person that you are? So the throat chakra gets blocked by lies, funnily enough. And Always question your perception. A story comes to mind. My grandfather left his jacket in a car, his friend's car, and he was telling us a story, and he said, you know, I went down for a sleep, blah, 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 blah. Anyway, I opened the door, and there's my jacket crumpled up on the ground. He'd just thrown it there. And I said to him, that seems like a weird thing for someone to do. What if he put it on the handle of the house and it fell off? And he looked at me and he was like, oh, yeah, that quite possibly could have happened. So quite often our state of mind can change our story or perceive a situation or an event into something totally different. So we cannot assume. If you have questions or you don't know the answer to, ask the questions. That person, you know, that it relates back to that person. It's not about gossiping and all that sort of stuff. If you are sitting in woe or the victim mentality, or you know, you're feeling rejected and all that negative stuff, quite often that if something happens, it'll come through those negative filters, yeah, and go, oh my God, they did that and blah, 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 blah. Because you're wanting to feed that victim mentality, if that makes sense. I know it doesn't make sense, because even though we want to be positive and, you know, all that sort of stuff, that's sort of what happens. So we have to always remember that there's always a positive to something and there's always a negative to something. So if something happens and your perception of it is a negative one, try and think of what a positive one might be, because it's quite possible that that could be the truth as well. So don't always stick onto that and go, oh my God, you know, that person did blah, 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 right? You don't know. So always remember that there's positive, there's a negative, could be that, it could be that. And if you really want to know, ask the person who's involved. For me, I always go with the positive, because I want to feel good. And if I'm going to bitch about that person and go, rah, 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 I don't feel good. So I'm going to give them the benefit of the doubt. And quite often, no one's going to do something really malicious, if that makes sense. Yes, positive thoughts create a positive outcome. Got it, Miranda. It's really quite, it can just change so much. It can change our energy. It feels cleaner. You know, when we're in that yucky kind of blame and get victim mentality, it feels all contracted and energy doesn't flow. We misconstrue information. People look at us and go, oh, I'm not talking to her today, she looks cracky pants. So when we can just go, do you know what? At the end of the day, it doesn't even matter if they, you know, did that or did that. Keep your energy nice and clear. Allow the flow. In with the good, out with the shit, so to speak. So your throat chakra, you can know if that's a little bit blocked by what I was saying at the beginning. You know, if you're needing to clear your throat, you might get a lot of throat infections. You might have thyroid issues. You may lose your voice. Your shoulders might be really close, you know, contracted. Your ears may ring, or they may be blocked a lot. And so what you can do to clear the energy out of this throat, this energy center, is one, to always tell the truth, really. That way you don't have to remember anything, and it just is so much easier to live life, just knowing that you've got nothing to hide and nothing to cover up and no, you know, stories to remember. Live your truth. Yeah, don't be someone that somebody else wants you to be. Speak up. Now, quite often, and I was in a relationship where I didn't feel like I could speak up. And so, I felt like I was this person just stuffed in a box. Uh, when I started doing some inner child work, and it's only, it's really only been the last few years that I've gone, I actually need to speak up for my inner child. That poor little darling girl who felt like no one listened. She got not ignored, but what she said wasn't important. I actually need to stand up for her. And it's changed my life. Relationships can change. People can come, people can go, and that's okay. You just need to trust. The most important thing is that you're being true to yourself. If you're in a job that you really hate, the morals, your values are not in line, do your best to find another job if you can. It can be quite interesting and difficult in these times, but counteract it with something that you love. You might want to take on some volunteer work or express yourself in a different way. You might want to join a band or a production company, or paint or sing, like singing, chanting, reciting mantras is amazing for this area. It clears, if you can do some Sanskrit mantras. Sanskrit, the language is one of the oldest in the entire world, and each syllable has a sound vibration which works on amazing, like everything's a vibration, right? And that's a whole nother subject, is talking about sound. So doing some beautiful Sanskrit, getting the rolling R's and getting the, sometimes there's some hard syllables to try and get through. Beautiful, Miranda. I just booked in for an inner child healing. Oh, wonderful. Yeah. She's amazing. We need to nurture our beautiful little inner child. Stand up for them when no one else did. And not that it's anyone's fault. This is not about putting blame or shame, but just, reconnecting with the self and moving forward in our own journey, which is beautiful. Well done. It's really nice. So yes, sing, chant, listen to beautiful music, classical music, or just music that you can sit with and just love the notes, love the harmonies. It's just being present, and that's beautiful for the ears and the jaws. Get creative in expressing yourself. What else can I say in this, although my time's probably up? Yeah, I think that's enough for today. There's a lot there. So replacing those words. If you want to, I can make up a little chart with the replacing this with that. If you want to, let me know. Be mindful in your own inner chatter. How are you talking to yourself? Are you being loving? Are you being kind? Are you talking to yourself like you would someone that you love, someone that you respect? Pleasure, Miranda, pleasure. And be true. Walk your walk and talk your talk. And remember that you're not going to satisfy everyone. That every single person that you have met in your entire life has a version of you. When I first heard that, that spun me out. It's like, oh my God, yes. And there is no way you can live up to all those expectations. So the best thing you can do is tune into yourself and be true to you. Continue to grow, continue to evolve, continue to learn, and put all these beautiful things into practice. We are all amazing, Miranda. We are. We need to start telling ourselves this and believing in it. We're all here for this, in this time and space reality for some reason, whether it's, someone that you meet in 5 days, that you bring them bliss and happiness. I mean, who cares? When you're living your truth, you actually give other people permission to live their truth. We have no idea who we inspire, who we encourage. We have no idea who looks up to us. It could be our kids. It could be, a lady behind the counter at the supermarket who sees you and goes, oh my God, because every time she sees you, you're smiling, you're happy, you give her a compliment or something, So yeah, be mindful of you. Be aware that we take in things through our own filters and other people have their filters, and we need to love and respect that. It's not about you're right and I'm wrong, or I'm right and you are wrong. It's not about that. It's about respecting each other for everybody's choices, everybody's experience here on this wonderful world, and just doing our best to love and support each other, and just make sure that you get your side of the story out, that you speak up for yourself, you speak up for your inner child, because your opinion is just as important as anybody else's. And if you have to fight for that, without being an a-hole, when we're grounded in ourselves and we truly love and respect ourselves, we can stand there and go, hang on a second, that's not right. This is what I meant. Yeah? But also be okay that sometimes you are going to be misunderstood. Sometimes people are going to have an opinion about you that you can't change. And that's okay. So what we're talking about here is your integrity. Just keep showing up for yourself. Keep being true to yourself. And just start to learn to love yourself. Hear the beauty in the world. Speak the beauty from your heart. And we can all just be happy and get along together. And so that's my wisdom for this week. So the challenge for you, if you want to take it, is to be mindful in your inner voice and your outer voice. And I'll put up those words and replace those don'ts, replace the buts, with some different words, and see what happens. And again, it does take time, it does take practice, and we can fall. That's okay. It's the awareness. You can just go, oh, whoops, and then try it again. All right, beautiful, beautiful community. Thank you so much for hanging in there with me, and go and sing today. Speak your truth today. Be amazing, be delightful, and I will see you next week. All right, take care for now. Bye.